Everybody, I'm Bonnie Hunter, and I'm here today to show you how I use the companion angle ruler and the easy angle ruler together to make really easy flying geese units. I use flying geese a lot in my quilts. I love the motion that they give a quilt, and I was never happy with the other methods to make flying geese. Either I was cutting way big, sewing, and having to sliver trim everything down, or I was having to cut squares of various sizes that I don't keep in my scrap user system to make 4 at a time. Because I keep my scraps cut in specific measurements, I use 1.5" strips, 2" strips, 2.5" strips, and 3.5" strips in most of my scrap quilting. I needed a method that used the strips that I already have on hand, and I can do that with the companion angle ruler and the easy angle ruler. Let's start with the companion angle ruler because it's going to be the big triangle at the bottom of our Flying Goose unit here. These are quarter square triangles, so we want the straight of grain to be on the bottom edge of the triangle, on alongside the hypotenuse. So what we're going to do here is take some 2" strips. These are 2" strips because these will work with the unit that we've got in our mystery quilt that's running. This is for the Easy Street Mystery. These Flying Geese units need to measure 2" by 3.5 inches before they are sewn in the quilt. So that's why we are starting with our 2" high strips. I've got 4 strips here layered together. They're all right side up. This way I can cut my variety very easily and quickly by laying things several strips together. 4 layers is the most I want to cut through. I'm going to use the 2" line on the ruler and put that 2" line at the bottom of my strip set. I've got the blunt end of the companion angle ruler here at the top of the strip set, and I'm going to reach over here and I'm going to just trim this first cut off. If I were using a quilt that used half square triangles in this size, I would also trim these off with the easy angle ruler because I can save those for another project. This is very simple. I'm going to move that strip set out of the way. That's next. I'm going to cut, move my strip set, and then we're going to pivot the ruler. I want you to think of a washing machine, like an old-fashioned washing machine that agitated just like this. This is the motion. So I'm going to pick up the ruler, and now the 2" line is going to go at the top of the strip set, and I'm going to make another cut, just like that. Move your strip set, bring the ruler back around, now put the 2" line at the bottom of the strip set, and cut. Sometimes after 4 or 5 cuts, I find that I might be getting a little bit off kilter, at which case I will start a clean cut and trim off anything that seems to be out of whack here. So these are the Flying Geese, big triangles right here. They look just like this. These came directly from my scrap drawers. Here's all of my purple scraps in 2" just waiting to be sewn into a quilt. So now that we've got our geese cut, here's some other 2" strips that I have put together. I've got 4 strips here, and I've layered them in matched pairs, right sides together. So I have 2 strips here, right sides together, 2 strips here, right sides together. We want them right sides together because I need to cut pairs in mirror image so that they will nest with the blunt tip of the companion angle ruler. So I'm going to take my easy angle ruler here, and this is the easy angle ruler. Because we are using a 2" strip, I'm going to be using the 2" line on the ruler. You'll notice if you look here at the bottom of the ruler, this is a very well-worn ruler, I use this a lot. The 2" line comes up and it goes over. Where it goes over, that's your missing dog ear. And that's why we can get by with a 2-inch cut instead of a 2 3/8 inch cut. We've just removed the dog ear first, which actually saves us fabric in the long run. So that's a good thing too. I'm just going to give myself a clean cut on the end of this strip set by putting any line at the top of the strip set and trimming off to remove any selvage, any uneven ends. And then I'm going to bring this back around. Now I might have some left-handers in this group watching this video. So if you are a left-hander, this is where the right-handers would start. The lefties would just turn the ruler upside down and cut from the right end of the strip. So that's the only difference there. Left-handers would start from this end. Right-handers will start from this end. Here's my 2-inch line right at the edge of the strip set, and I'm going to cut. Just like this. That's cut 1. If you can read easy angle right side up to your nose, you know you're in the right position. For the second cut, I want you to imagine that there are 2 hinges right here on the long hypotenuse of the easy angle ruler. You're not going to remove the ruler from the table. Do not even lift it up. All you're going to do is let it roll on those hinges. Bring the 2-inch line down to the top of your strip set. The black triangle will hang off the bottom end, and you're going to cut. Just like this. Now if I were making regular half square triangles, instead of having 2 white strips right sides together, I would have my dark strip and my light strip right sides together so that I could cut already matched pairs ready to go through the machine. But we are cutting these as wing triangles that are going to go right here on either side of our geese. Let's do that one more time. I'm going to roll back to 1 and move my ruler over. What you want to avoid is counting from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. We're only going to count to 2 in this cutting process. So here's cut 1. Move the strip set. Roll it for cut 2. Make that second cut. The second cut will always put your strip set back on the straight of grain. And then you're going to flip it back again to 1 before moving it over. That's the big key. And the reason is this. If you go from 1 to 2, you're good. The problem comes if you flip to 3. Do you see I lifted that off of the hinged edge? If you go to 3, well, now you have to cut away from your body. You're shooting from the hip here instead of from the shoulder. If you roll to 4, you're in deep trouble because you can't cut through the ruler to cut your triangle. It's really going to be hard on your blades if you try to do that. And most people find themselves in a pickle by the time they get to 4. So do this. Here's 1, 2, back to 1, and move over, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so that's the basics of the easy angle ruler. We've got our wing triangles right here. I am going to just pick a triangle here, and this is how these will open up. I've got 2 sets, right sides together. As I open up those pairs, they will nest with the goose triangle right here. When I take these to the sewing machine to sew, I like to start sewing with the right side triangle first. I'm going to put this wing triangle right on top of our goose, and you will notice that there is a little bit of the white sticking up here. That's perfectly fine. That's normal. That's to give you the height that you need in your seam allowance so that when your Flying Goose unit is finished, you have the 1/4 inch depth that you need, just like on this finished one right here. You need a 1/4 inch right there so that you don't lose the nose of your goose in the next seam. So I would sew all of the right hand ones, trim this little dog ear part, and I'll show you that in photographs, still photographs. But this will press out, and then you're going to add this one here on this side. When you do this, make sure that this flat edge here is lining up with the flat edge of the previous triangle here. If you keep those even and your stitching comes out right where it should, you will be able to open up that Flying Goose unit and have it nice and square and flat across the top. I am big on removing my dog ears when I sew. I don't want any dog ears in my work. That's how the Flying Goose units work. The reason why we cut these with right sides together so they're in mirror image is that the top will always nest with the top of your Flying Goose unit. There you go. Have fun sewing your flying geese. This is Bonnie Hunter. Thanks for joining me on quiltville.blogspot.com.